Hello everyone, thanks for joining in. We're just gonna give people a couple minutes to join, and then we'll start shortly. Thank you. Uh, Hi everyone. Again, thank you so much for taking some time and joining. We're just gonna be 10 more seconds, and I'll get started. Okay, sweet. Everyone, this is our webinar on AI-assisted content assessment and authoring in Codio. A little bit about me. I'm Mohit Chandarana. I'm the data science and AI specialist at Codio. My role is to research and prototype novel data-driven product features, algorithms, new technologies, anything AI, anything data-driven, anything about learning analytics and producing insightful insights for educators is something that I specialize in. And part of my job is actually adapting and learning about every new technology that comes in. And that is something that we pride ourselves at Codio, that anything new that is introduced, that is accepted by the research community, is something that could be helpful to educators and students both. And that was also our ideology that we applied to generative AI. And we decided to take a very measured approach towards harnessing AI in computing education. Like any new technology, the first thing we did was research how it works in and out, and that's what we did when we came up with our Intro to Gen AI courseware. The first iteration was launched in June 2023 with the initial APIs from OpenAPI, and we re-released it in August this year with the latest content updates that our wonderful content team keeps tabs on, and the latest GPT-4o model as well. The next thing that we decided to do is to actually integrate this into IDEs, so that it's easier for students to use it and learn how to interact with generative AI APIs. So our LLM and Copilot API integrations were launched with the vanilla Codio IDE as well as VS Code. This simplified teaching and interacting with these APIs and really made the whole process very seamless. The next thing we decided to do is actually look at how students are using generative AI. And the biggest three things that we found is what went into building Coach. This is the AI-driven learning assistant that's available in Codio that does the three big things that students use ChatGPT and other Gen AI tools for. It's to summarize assignments, it's to explain the error messages that they get when they're coding and programming, and to understand like what should be the next thing they should be doing, like what's a hint of some sort. And that's what Coach does. It gives you the hints as Socratic considerations and suggestions, explains error messages without giving possible fixes, and summarizes assignments. It's also extensible and customizable, so you can build any assistant you like. You can even bring your own LLM, and it's something we'll discuss towards the later half of the webinar. And the natural next thing we did was add LLM budgeting tools. So you could set budgeting limits at the student level, use your own API keys, and just not be worried about an infinite loop costing you hundreds of dollars in, in API costs. So after all these things, we started thinking about how can we further leverage generative AI to help educators get back what they need most, which is time. We want to get them their time back by speeding up the authoring process, maybe even help them keep curriculum and assessments fresh for each cohort. And that was our motivation behind launching the AI-assisted authoring tools in Codio. The first iteration of these tools has two big components. It's the assessment generation, and the other one is the content draft generation. And again, at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A section. My colleagues will be taking them up as they come in, and we'll also have a Q&A session in the end where we can talk in detail about any thoughts and comments and questions you have. As you can see here, assessment generation in the first iteration as of now is for formative assessments. So it is fill in the blanks, multiple choice, free text, and Parsons problems. And you can generate content draft. And we'll see how exactly and what exactly do these tools do, right? So for the content draft, it takes in two things, the course module assignment and page titles, as well as any instructions and guidelines that you want to give the models, and will give you a well-drafted, structured page of content. On the other hand, the assessment generation will take whatever context or whatever content exists on a given page by default, and you can add any optional guidelines and instructions to that, and it'll give you one of the 4 assessment types that we just saw so far. Any questions at this point? It's gonna wait like 3 or 4 seconds. Feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and we'll make sure like all your questions are answered. I want to show these tools in action live in our product, and we're going to start by going into Codio. So if you have a Codio account, this is what your course dashboard looks like. And let's actually start by creating a new course from scratch, right? So we're going to go to the Codio resources library. And I'm kind of interested in doing a course in Java. So I'm just going to click Java programming. You can scroll down and it shows all the assignments and modules that it has. You can select and drop the things that you don't like. And I'm gonna stick with this, and I'm just gonna hit create course. And it automatically takes all of that assignment and module content and puts it in your account. So I'm gonna do Java programming for 2024. Just gonna add a tag so I remember where it is. And I'm gonna hit create. Oh, I also have to have the organization. That's correct. I'm gonna hit create course. And this takes in all those assignments and modules that we just saw and gives us a course that we can actually start teaching with. Let's say I'm a CS2 instructor and I want to start with data structures and algorithms. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to see what Codio has for the SNA. And we're going to look at time complexity. So let's look at edit assignments and look at the big O, big theta, and big omega time complexity assignment that's here. And we're gonna quickly be able to see how easy it is to just add a page of content that you would really like to have in there. So I'm just going to edit mode, and these are our learning objectives. I'm gonna click the toggle on the right to find the page I was interested in. And you can see it's about big O notations, big theta notations, and omega notations. One thing that I really like to do is I want to give my students real world examples. And that is something that I don't see on this page right now. But that's no problem at all. Let's add a new page. And one of the best practices for using the content generation tool is to give your page a very thoughtful name. So if I really want real world examples of time complexity, that's what I'm going to name it. Because the more specific you get with these generation models, the better the results are, because they will just try to generate anything you ask it to. So the specific your instructions, the better the results are going to be. So we're going to do real world examples of time complexity. And I'm going to click enter. Now that our new page is ready, the generate content wand is present in the editor ribbon right here. So I'm just going to click on that, and we'll minimize this. So as you can see, the tool has automatically grabbed the course name, the module name, the assignment name, and the name of the page as context. So all of that has been plugged in for you right here. And if you actually just want to see and not give any additional requirements, this context is enough for it to give you an initial draft, and we can just hit generate. And we're going to get a preview right here of the page of content on real world examples of time complexity. And there it is. So when you talk about algorithms and their performance, time complexity plays a crucial role. It's talking about O of N linear search, and it's giving an example of social media feeds, which is pretty good. Giving an example of GPS navigation and online shopping recommendations. Now, it's talking about a lot of algorithms here, and well, as of now, students haven't looked at any algorithms, but that's kind of what I was talking about when I meant we have to be specific with instructions. So this text field is the most powerful tool you have with respect to the content generation piece, where you can be as specific as, oh, this should be for a novice learner. We haven't covered any algorithms yet. So keep examples simple. And we're going to click regenerate. Now, while you're in this generation session, you're going to have access to all your requirements and all your drafts that have happened so far. So right now, because we said, oh, we want the example simple, so it has given us very simple examples without using any of the algorithms that we were talking about. But let's say we want to get that specific and we liked the previous draft better. So I'm just going to click on previous result and I'm going to approve that. And it automatically pops up on the markdown page. And we can preview it right here to see what's going on. And again, at any given point of time, if you feel like there's something that can be improved in it, there's something that can be added or removed, you can just click on this generate one again, add your requirements, add exactly what you don't want in there, and it will remove that and give you a preview of that content. So you can go from 0 to a page of content within seconds and plug in anything that you'd really like to have in there, or even solve the blank page problem where you know what you want to talk about, you know what you want to teach your students, but you're having a hard time coming up with examples, and you can use this as sort of a vision board or a back and forth tool that helps you build your curriculum the way you want it. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's say we are in preview and we like this, and I actually want to add an assessment at the end of the page. So again, in just edit mode, I'm going to go to the end of the page, and I'm going to click on assessments, and I want a multiple choice question for my student. And like I said, with multiple choice, fill in the blanks, Parsons, and free text questions, we have the generate assessments feature that is present right here. So on the bottom right, you can click on the generate button. And as we saw in the slide deck before, this is going to use the context of the content on the page already. So again, you don't need to put anything to start with. You can just leave this empty and click generate using AI. And it's going to give you a question that's pre-filled with the correct responses, with the explanation and feedback that the students would get, and you can preview this right here. So because we had an example of social media, that's the question that it has put up. Now let's say we wanted a multiple choice question with more than one correct answer. You can right here give me a question with 2 correct answers and click regenerate. And again, it's going to take that context of the page and give you another question. Now, if you really like this question and if you're happy with it, you can click approve, and it's going to take you back in that question with all the fields filled out. Your question in markdown format in the execution tab, it's going to have the correct settings, all the answers. In the grading tab, it's going to have the rationale for students when they either get it correct, or if you've decided to show the students rationale after a given number of incorrect attempts. So they know exactly what they did wrong, and you can give any sort of feedback you want for students, and you can just hit create. And just like that, we have a multiple choice question for students right here. Now I'm just going to look at some questions here in Q&A. No challenge with GPT models is generating correct answers as the distractors in MCQs. Does your tool automatically check for the situation? If yes, and how? So the prompts that we've set up and the guidelines we've set up for these models behind the scenes address the problems of distractors, correct and incorrect answers really well. But given where LLMs are at this point, and what you're saying is correct, that there may be instances where it is slightly incorrect or it is slightly drifting away from what you want it to be. This is where the whole point of approving something comes in. Because at the end of the day, it is not going to take away the expertise of the instructor and the ability of the instructor to distinguish what exactly is correct and not. So this is designed to be something that actually assists you by keeping you in the loop and making sure you approve everything, rather than relying on it blindly and just populating everything in there. But really good question, Mohammed. Thank you so much. What if you like the question that was generated? You can actually word it any way you want it to, because that text field is meant to be your voice in that question, right? So we're just gonna, let's say we're gonna click on another multiple choice question and I'm gonna click generate. You can give it a tone and theme. You can give it exactly what you want in the question. You can even give it generate a question about counting kittens and time complexity. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to release a guide of best practices, a bunch of input examples of different lengths, of different levels of detail, which is also going to help you have like that template in mind, and you can take it from there as well. So what you can also do is you can paste more context for the model. So if you really like a question on time complexity and space complexity together, you can paste the page on space complexity in this text field and give instructions to focus on that and not on the page. Because the instructions that you put in this text field are going to override and set the guidelines like by default, and you can ask it to ignore anything on the page if you wanted to. So yeah, this is content and assessment generation for time complexity in Java. Let's just look at another example in Python. So I'm just going to go to a Python course. And let's see. Maybe I'll take the compound conditionals section, so we can see some code examples and what comes out of it. All right, so for in here, we're looking at compound conditional syntax and compound conditional statements. Now, as an instructor, I kind of want to teach compound conditionals and nested conditionals in the same assignment. So for that, I'm just going to click on add page, and I'm going to follow the same pattern. So I'm going to be nested conditional syntax. And we're going to click on the generate one again. And again, we have all the context of where exactly we are, in which assignment, on which page already present. And I just have a prompt written, so I'm just gonna just paste that here. So y'all don't have to watch me type. So yeah, you can even specify everything about what has been covered so far. So we have covered compound conditionals in this assignment so far. Students have not learned about loops. Only operators and variables has been taught before this assignment. Right, so you can define the scope. You can tell what exactly has been done. You can tell what not to include, and then you can define what exactly you want. So you want a page on nested conditional syntax with some code examples. The examples, well, I kind of like it in that public. So let's be Star Wars. Why not? We're going to click generate. So while this is generating, I'm just going to take another question in the Q&A. Can we provide one section of our lecture and ask the tool to generate questions? Absolutely. you can paste in as much text as you want in here, and it will try and give you a question based on that. But you'll have to be very specific in your instructions that you want the question, or you want the content around this. And this is an excellent question to talk about another concept. With these large language models, we know that they are trained in batches, and they have like a training cutoff date, if you will. So any information that it has been trained on may be only relevant until, let's say, June of this year. But there's a new concept in Python conditionals, hypothetically, that has been introduced in August. What you can also do is you can paste that new concept and information about this in these requirements, and actually define that, hey, this is the new thing that has been introduced just last month, and I want a page of content on this new thing so that I can keep my curriculum fresh and up to date to as latest as it can be. And you can have that done here as well. So here, let's look at nested conditional syntax. We like the basic structure. It has a Star Wars themed example. And if you don't like these words, like I said, you can even reword it and say, do not use Star Wars example as section title and titles, and only keep the code examples Star Wars themed. And we can click regenerate. You can even remove all of this text. You can add new things. Anything that you like or don't like about the draft that you saw can be mentioned in that. Look, now it's an example Star Wars character classification. So it's a lot more specific in terms of that. And it has the character names, the force user. It's pretty cool that way. And since we like this better than the earlier one, we can click approve. You can also provide a page of context and ask the model to give you a page in continuation of something that you've done before. So it is going to make sure to stick to that theme and stick to the examples that you've covered in the page before that as well. So again, like I said, think of this as your vision board, and jot down your thoughts and any guidelines that you want the model to follow. And it'll try its best to stick to it and give you allow instructors change the generated results before improving instead of regenerating. Oh, that's we're gonna actually make a note of this. This is really good feedback. Thank you so much. So talking about approving and editing. That is yeah, we're gonna consider that. Thank you. And now let's actually look at a Parsons problem generation in here. We're gonna click on Parsons puzzle. First, we want it at the end of the page. So we're gonna be at the end of the page and click Parsons puzzle. We're gonna click generate. And in here, you can even be a little abstract and say, give me an easy question. It should not have any Star Wars examples. You don't want that. And we're going to see how it takes care of typos, and two, it's not going to have any Star Wars themed things, and we're going to ask it to override what's on the page. So like I said, it's a simple nested conditional, arrange the code blocks. So it has normal ones, it has distractors, and we're going to click approve, and you can see the question. In the execution tab, you can see it has distractors, it has indented code like you would in Python. Also, a thing to note, it has markdown syntax formatting with Python, and for Java, it will have Java, and for any other language, it would follow that as well. And for reading, you'll be able to see the correct structure, the feedback, and everything that goes in a Parsons problem. You can click create, and because I click here, it added this assessment here. Just gonna cut, paste, put it down here, and there you go. We drag and drop Parsons problem that can also be invented. Yeah, that is our demo on content and assessment generation tools in Codio. I'm just going to go back to our slide deck. Let's look at some of the questions that you might have had when we talk about generative AI and large language models, right? Let's say your institution requires the use of open source large language models. Is that possible with these tools? And the answer is of course, because if it's not customizable, it's not Codio. When we launched Coach, we launched the feature of making it extensible in the sense that you can create your own custom assistants for any given task, whether it's to help you write content, whether it's to help you um, generate any drafts, or whether it is to build something specific for your students. So for example, right now we have explain error messages, but that doesn't give possible fixes. And you want to override that and provide possible fixes and even code snippets as part of the explanation. You can build your own assistant that does that. You can even have something that is chat GPT-esque, where you can have back and forth questions and students can ask things about the course. And you can even design guidelines where it sticks to that scope and doesn't answer anything beyond the content of the course. So you can use custom assistants in Coach to build your personal assistant for any task. The documentation for this is live as well. You can refer to the docs and reach out to us with any questions you have. Also keep an eye out for the next webinar that is specifically going to address this topic. We're going to go over how to author custom assistants in Coach, how to use and how to plug and play and use existing examples that we already have for you. We can talk more about that then. The other natural question I feel like you might have had is, what if I want to generate a code writing question with this? Which is also going to be very possible. Very soon, you'll also be able to generate code writing assessments. It's going to be standard code tests in any programming language to start with all input-output test cases, personalized feedback for any failed test cases, and much more. And like with the best practices guide for content and assessment generation, we're going to release the same things for standard code tests as well. And I think that brings us to our Q&A. So I'm just going to take the first question I have in Q&A right now. And please feel free to take some time. If you have a Codio account, log in and play with it. And if you have any questions while you're doing that, please let me know. Let's see. This functionality is great. Is it possible to ask the AI to write auto-grading test code for a coding assessment? That is something that is going to be available as part of the assessment generation very soon. You're going to be able to do standard code tests. We're also working on Python and Java unit tests, so you can write those scripts there. But to answer the question that you're talking about, you can create your own custom assistant in Coach that can take all the information that you want it to have. So say, for example, you have a code file with the solution. You have a guide page with the problem statement that the students are working on. You can feed that as context to your custom assistant and ask it to give you a auto-grading script in any language you want. And you can do that right there in Codio. You'll also be able to put that script in a new file in the place where you want that script to be, and you won't have to do any copy pasting as well. So anything that you can imagine in terms of building something for yourself, you can do that with custom assistants in Coach. But really good question. Thank you. Can I customize the chatbot as a teaching assistant for students, such as with my syllabus, course schedule? It can tutor students without giving direct answer. Absolutely. So if you go on our documentation page for custom assistants, there is a template example that does just that. It is an interactive multi-turn conversational assistant. You're in charge of the prompt. You can even choose the model that you want behind it and write it yourself. And students can ask any questions they want about your course. As part of the prompt or as part of the context, you can put your course schedule, you can put your assignment due dates, you can even put the basic structure or outline of your syllabus in there, and students can ask questions about it, and it will only answer those specific questions. You can also provide content-specific context, so they can ask questions about your actual material that you're covering, and it would do what you're saying. It would give tutoring to students without giving them direct answers to things. You can use that in conjunction with the next steps and error explanation assistance we already have in built-in Coach, because they're going to do part of what you want to do, and then the question answering thing can just be the full suite of whatever your students need. gonna look at the other next question we have. My question is not specifically related to AI-assisted content creation, but in terms of interoperability. Is it possible to export parts of the designed curriculum to another LMS? I'm actually going to take a note of this question and get back to you, Mohammed, on this. I may not have the right answer for this, but if one of my colleagues does, they'll answer that question in chat for you. But if not, we'll get back to you with an answer to your question. But I'm going to look at the next one. I'm new to your product. It looks terrific. Oh, thank you so much. This is a content generation tool authorway integrated with AI and LMS. I'm actually a little confused. Could you please elaborate your question? So from what I understand, if you're asking if this content generation tool is integrated with the LMS, I think my answer would be no. This is specifically meant for helping you author things inside of Codio while you're in an assignment in a course. But I may have interpreted your question wrong, so if you can elaborate, I'd love to answer it correctly. But yeah, thank you so much for your questions, everyone. It's really exciting to actually have thoughtful questions asked when we present something new. That it makes us feel we're doing something right. So thank you so much for that. And again, if you have a Codio account, you can play around with these AI tools and give us more information on what's going on. If you don't have a Codio account, instructor accounts are always free, and you can create one yourself and play around with these tools and let us know. Is there updated documentation on the coach extensions? Yes, absolutely. It should be on our website for creating custom assistants. It is an experimental feature, and we're still working on adding more things to it. But as of now, you should be able to author use existing examples, plug and play. You can tweak existing examples, and you can author your own extensions. And all the documentations and links to the API reference is all available on the documentation page. Just seeing some more questions that one of my colleagues are answering in chat. But in the meantime, I can even do a small demo of one of the custom assistants that I have built in Coach. So we'll be able to see Coach in general and the custom assistant I have in there as well. So if you open this right now, let's see. So first things first, we have to go back and enable Coach. It is an assignment level setting. So you'd have to go in your assignment, click settings, and enable the 3 assistants. Or you can enable any if you want. So I'm just going to do error augmentation and next steps because I want to do, I kind of want to show something in line with what we had in the Q&A. And I'm going to go back to the overview and compound conditionals preview. So the default assistants that we get with Coach are summarize assignments, explain error messages, and next steps hints. The next thing, so the custom assistant I have added is I have a question. So when you click that, it opens the text field here, and we can type any question. So I can be like, can you give some examples of conditional? Well, actually, let's just put nested conditionals. right? It's something that we just added. And with code snippets, they can give all the examples that they want. Now, I can even do something like, oh, there's an assessment. We answer to this question. What is it condition on this page, right? And the guidelines we've set for this custom assistant is that it has to stick to questions about the course. Anything that strays away from it, it will not give direct answers. In fact, it will redirect towards course resources and actually recommend what part of the course that they should revise. They can even show something. So let's say if I start asking about how about an example in Java for conditionals, right? This, again, you can configure it to only answer questions about particular topics in Python or particular topics in anything that you'd like it to be. So if, since I'm asking about Java, it will not respond, and it will only tell you that, oh, this is the thing that it can assist you with. But like I said, because you're in control of your prompts, you can decide exactly how you want this assistant to help, and you can build it that way. And the other question I had was about cheating detection or actually understanding student behaviors in Codio. And we actually have a tool that's in the product called Behavior Insights. Just going to open one of the demo courses we have for that. Let's see. So let's say this is one of your coding exercises that you have for your students. You can click on it. It's going to show all the students that have done it so far. And this behavior tab right here. We have certain metrics that are pre-configured behind the scenes. And again, these configurations are something that instructors can do themselves. You can decide what should be the minimum / average time spent on your particular assignment. You can look at rate of edits. You can even check external copy pastes. If it's a coding exercise, you can even look at coding versus debugging time. So how much time has a student spent in an error state versus an error-free state? So 100% of coding time means either your student is super excellent or they haven't even run their code once and they've just typed through the whole thing. Which is clear from insertions and deletions that there's only 3% deletions in here. So you'll be able to look at the external pastes in here as well. Signing up as instructor, the field indicates that when it's already used. Oh, yeah, my colleague will answer that question, but that basically means that one of someone at your organization already has an account in has an organization, basically. So you should just be able to ask them to invite you to join. But yeah, so it's just there's a lot more coming to the product, and there's a lot more we've worked on. We're also working on improvements to these insights to be able to actually, let's say you don't care about plagiarism as much, but you care about struggle or engagement. So very soon, we're also going to add the ability to actually configure these metrics to actually understand student process better and help students when they actually need it. So if you're actually seeing that your students are struggling in loops and functions, you'll actually be able to address that before you start recursion, for example, so that you can help students when they need it. So those updates will also be rolling out over the next like few months, and we'll keep you updated with everything that comes in. I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes for any last questions, but thank you so much, everyone, for coming by. And again, we would really appreciate if you can go in and try out these AI tools, specifically the content and assessment generation tools, because we would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. This is something that we've built for you in order to help you save time. So if you can tell us how to do that better, we would love to do that better. So please try out these tools, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. You can send an email to me, it's mchandrana@codio.com, and we'll respond to you promptly. Oh, thank you so much, Brock. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Again, if you have any questions that we haven't addressed so far, please feel free to email me. We'd be happy to get in touch with you. And everyone will receive the link to the recording and some more things really soon. So I'm just going to hang out here for a couple more minutes for any last questions. But other than that, thank you so much. We appreciate the time you took to attend this webinar, and we'll see you soon with the next one.